George, you wanted to see an entertaining fight from Devin Haney. Did you see that tonight?
Look, I'll give him his props. You know, at times he looked very sharp, and you know, he boxed brilliant. That's his game. He boxes nicely. So you know, yeah, styles make fights, and you know, if we make it happen, it's going to be an exciting fight. But now we can talk. Now we can talk.
What kind of effort will it take to beat someone like George Kambosos? Will what you did tonight be enough to beat that man?
We got to see. Like he said, styles make fights. I still think I'm the best lightweight in the division. But talk is cheap. We got to go in there and settle it.
What do you want to say to George Kambosos and all your friends as they hope you get this big battle and unify an undisputed title in this division?
All I can say is let's make it happen. The fans want to see it. He wants to make it happen. I want to make it happen. It should be a very easy fight to make happen.
You ever been in Australia?
No, I've never been, but I look forward to it, going to go pick up some belts out there.
All right, well, have a good day, mate.
Be careful with the 80,000 coming out of Australia. Because if you thought today's crowd was pretty crazy, 80,000 in Australia. But
the crowd doesn't win fights. I do. Let's do it.
I know that. I dealt with that with Lopez.
There you have it. George Kambosos and Devin Haney.
Really proud of Devin Haney, Bill, and the team, because I think, you know, probably a year ago, a little bit more, 15 months, we were struggling for a bit of direction. You know, I felt that people were avoiding Devin Haney and they didn't want to fight him unless they were overpaid effectively. And I want to also thank DAZN for not just investing in Devin Haney, but investing in the opposition to make sure we get the fights that we need. And over the last 12 months, he's gone Gamboa, Linares and Jojo Diaz. That's the best resume of any lightweight out there in a recent year or more. And although we give respect to George Kambosos for the standout victory against Teofimo Lopez, I really feel like this last year has been incredible. And I think we also need to remember that Devin Haney is 23 years of age. And his maturity in the ring, his ring IQ is, you know, that of a 32-year-old in his prime, because at times in that fight tonight, through 3 or 4 rounds, for a lot of people it would have got very messy. They could have unraveled. But he kept his composure. He controlled the complete middle stages of the fight. And I know he won't be fully happy with his performance, but it's just every time he steps in there, it's a performance beyond his years. And, you know, as a Brit promoting in America, I'm really, really proud that Devin and Bill chose us and believed in us, because it means a lot to have such a great talent. I feel like the best young talent in American boxing as part of our team. And we are a great team, you know, down to Devin and Bill, who do an amazing job. Ben Davis and all the training team. Church, of course, who is the standout star of Team Haney. And I want to thank everybody, and especially the media, and as I said, DAZN as well. And I feel like he has an incredible future. Of course, we'll talk about the next step, and for us, it's only one step, and that's George Kambosos. And I think we're one of the few that will go to Australia. And when he does, I believe he'll become undisputed champion. And to do that on a stage like that and come back is the kind of move and the kind of fight that will truly make Devin a global star. So we're going to go to the floor for questions for the champion.
Yeah, this is Skip Brown with Dante's Boxing Nation by way of Akhi TV. First of all, congratulations, champ, on a magnificent, impressive win.
Thank you.
Impressive victory. Now, I noticed that you invested in the body early. You know what I'm saying? Do you think that took a toll on him? You know, like noticeably took a toll on him? Did it cut some of his power off?
Yeah, first off, I want to start off by saying I want to thank God. Alhamdulillah, I want to thank my team, my dad, Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing, DAZN, my whole team. It was a great training camp. Everyone played their part, so, you know, I want to thank all of them. And to your question, yeah, I knew that he was a southpaw, so part of the game plan was to, you know, hit him with the right hand to the body. And I felt like I did that, and he was slowing down. I could hear him breathing late in the fight. He was taking deep breaths. So, yeah, I do feel like the body attacks did pay off late in the fight. But the ref kept warning me about hitting him low, but he had his cup was high. Like, you couldn't even see his belly button. That's how high his cup was. So I wasn't really hitting him low. But, yeah, I do feel like the body attack paid off. Yeah, of course. You know, whenever the ref, you know, warns you, you know, more than one time, you do think that, you know, you start to think like, oh, I don't want to do it because I don't want to do that again because I don't want the ref to take a point.
Boxing King Media. Devin, Eddie's showing you great loyalty, putting you in 3 big fights back to back. I know this is a fight fight deal. Is this relationship going to continue, or are you going to wait for your options?
Of course, of course, Eddie Hearn believed in me when, a lot of people didn't. So, of course, I want to, have my whole career with Eddie Hearn. He's, done a lot for me, and I couldn't thank him enough.
Yeah, no, you're in that back.
How do you compare his flanking power compared to Linares'?
Well, obviously, I mean, the fight with Linares hurt me. It was obvious that I got hurt in that fight. But in this fight, I wasn't hurt at all. His pressure was much more than Linares, but his punching power wasn't as hard.
Mike.
Devin, congratulations on the great performance.
Thanks, Mike.
First off, a lot of people used to have the knock on you was, Devin's in boring fights. Now you've been in 2 really exciting fights back to back.
Yeah.
At what point do people have to call you an exciting fighter?
Yeah, I definitely think that I showed that I'm an exciting fighter once again tonight. Some people say that all I do is run in there, but in times I wasn't running at all. But in there we got into some great exchanges, and I wasn't shy to exchange with him. So I think it was a very entertaining fight. The crowd was on their feet from round 1 to round 12. So yeah.
And, how important is it to you to be an exciting action fighter? Because we all know that you could make it easier probably if you wanted to, but this is an entertaining sport. It's entertainment at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, of course. I always want to, entertain the fans. I want the fans to be happy with the fight that I put on. But styles make fights, and sometimes you fight different ways to get the win. But I feel like I fought a very exciting fight tonight, and got the win. Thank you.
Victory. How would you assess your performance tonight, and did Jojo Diaz bring anything that surprised you?
I thought I put on a good performance. Of course, the best way to win in the ring is a knockout, and I did hurt him a few times in the fight, but I went in there. People forget that I'm still 23 years old. That's my 3rd former world champion in a row. Jojo Diaz didn't lose his belt at 130. He didn't make weight, so he's coming off the biggest win of his career against Javier Fortuna, and he walked Javier Fortuna down the whole fight. So he has the experience. And I just feel like he brought the best out of me. So I'm happy with my performance, and we got the win. So now we on to the next. Yeah. I do agree with that. The crowd was going crazy sometimes when he was just hitting like my arms or gloves, or even missing sometimes. But it's part of the game. At the end of the day, the crowd can't win the fight for him, and the scorecard showed.
Congratulations, Devin, on your victory.
Thank you.
Town Business Sports and Entertainment.
Yes, sir. Town Business.
I know you guys want to rest, but what's the time frame we could possibly get the undisputed with you and Kambosos?
I think, obviously, both come off tough fights. Kambosos, a tougher fight, got marked up pretty bad. And I think that, realistically, we're looking at probably something around May time. I mean, I'd like to see Devin take a nice break, get back in camp maybe early February. But also, the only other issue we have to resolve is the travelling issue. See what happens with the pandemic. Right now, we can enter certain parts of Australia with no quarantine. That could change, that could improve. But really now it's about speaking to the Australian government. And we don't, by the way, rule out the fact of doing the fight in America or in the Middle East or anywhere. It's the Undisputed Championship, and that's a big pull for many different regions around the world. But we'll explore all of those, present them to Devin, and obviously present them to George Kambosos' team as well. But we don't, it's not just we're packing our bags to go to Australia. That's where George would like to do it. We have to be represented properly in this situation as well, and make sure it's the right position for Devin Haney to be in. There may be many options for this fight, but I think realistically, end of April earliest, but May is probably the time for the undisputed fight.
Yeah, I want to test myself. I want to fight the best fighters out there, or the so-called best fighters in there, and it's shown. Any guy that I've called out and they answered, and I end up fighting them. It's never been any type of confusion or me backing out. Any guy that I called out and they were willing to fight me, I fought them. Jojo Diaz is Olympian. former Olympian. He's former 2-time world champion. He said, "Let's do it." I said, "Let's do it." We got the fight made, and it was simple as that. Same with Linares. Same with whoever else. You know, I want to fight George Kambosos. So the fight should be easy to be made. I want to fight the best fighters out there, and it's obvious. And you guys gotta respect that. I feel like you guys don't, accept it enough and speak about it enough that I am willing to fight the best fighters out there. I'm not ducking or dodging nobody.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we came to the UK. I've never seen anything like it. We did a media day. I was a bit worried. I brought an American fighter over. It was ages ago. It was well over a year ago, before the pandemic. And I was thinking, we'll do a media day. I wonder if anyone turned up. They were queuing down the street. I've never seen a day so busy. I'd actually like him to come over. Ben Algieri might be a bit close, but Chisora Parker in a couple of weeks, come over to the UK. They love him in the UK. We would have done a big number on DAZN tonight with our UK subscribers. And they, UK fight fans, very, very knowledgeable fight fans. And they know Devin Haney's for real.
I'm so grateful for this opportunity. This is something that I've always dreamed of since a little kid. Me living in Vegas, you don't know how many times I drove past the MGM or been to fights here at the MGM and just, imagine myself here. And it was actually like when I was in the ring, like it was like deja vu. I swear, it was crazy. I feel like I did it before, like I've been there, like I imagined it, and I'm so grateful to be in this position, especially at a young age, 23 years old. Very few have done it at this age, and I couldn't thank God enough for it.
I have a couple more questions, guys. Yeah.
Speaking of George Kambosos Jr. and Tank Davis, they both, George Kambosos said that he's going to attend Tank fight tomorrow. Do you plan on attending Tank fight tomorrow?
No.
Well, I mean, your prime normally as a fighter comes in your late 20s, depending on the weight class. And he's 23. And he's been fighting a long time early on in his career in Mexico just because he was too young to fight here. But now as I go back to the fights that he's been in, and also don't forget where he's been fighting. He boxed at Staples Center in front of 13,000, 14,000 that were there on the KSI night. He boxed headlined at Maryland as well. He boxed at Madison Square Garden. He's headlined there. In the theatre. He's headlined at Mandalay Bay. He's headlined at the Hard Rock in Miami behind closed doors that time when we were in the pandemic. And now he's headlined at MGM. I mean, he's on a hell of a run. And when you look at, you tell me a young star, 23 years old, that has the potential of Devin Haney. And it's not, potential is about having the ability and quality, but it's also about having the discipline. And discipline comes through being consistent. Consistency is the key to longevity in anything. And there aren't enough fighters these days who have the consistency and the work ethic to last in the game. I'm not sure if you're going to see him at 30. I mean, you see him. 7 years. 7 years. If you're fighting 3 times a year, it's 21 fights. So, I don't know. Listen, we'd love to... this is a very tough sport. The key is to achieve your dreams, achieve your legacy, make as much money as possible, and walk away into the sunset. But I promise you, he's in boxing for the right things. He wants to make money, but he also has a dream to be a true great. Last one.
Just following up on that, Eddie, it's not often if you have a U.S. champion willing to travel overseas to either defend the title or unify one. Devin, what can you talk about the importance of the undisputed title at 135 before you move up, and your willingness to go abroad to get that title?
Yeah, like I said before, 135 is not easy for me to make. It takes a lot of sacrifice and discipline that I'm willing to do for the big fights. The biggest fight for me right now, I feel like, well, the most important fight for me right now. It may not be the biggest fight, but the most important fight for me right now is George Kambosos for the undisputed. It's always been a dream of mine to be undisputed, and you know, that's a fight that I would love. But you know, if I can't get the big fights at 135, then I will go up to 140. And my body's still growing. Like I said before, I'm only 23 years old. I'm growing. And if I can't get the big fights here, then I'll move up. But my main focus right now is undisputed. I don't want anybody to think that you know, they can just wait me out and then I'll eventually go up. No, I'm going to press for these fights for as long as I can. But if these guys just won't fight me, then I'll go up to 140.
Thank you to the media. Bill, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, WBC World Champion Devin Haney.
Thank you, guys.